But we do these short-term mission trips for a couple of different reasons. But let me share something with you first. From time to time, you'll hear people complain about short-term mission trips. Oh, they're not effective. You just go in there and just kind of blast everything for a short time, and then you're gone. And those poor missionaries, they have to stay there or whatever. But we really are not. We're taking them. We're not just making something up. We've got a model that we follow. In Matthew chapter 10, Jesus sent out his disciples. He was training these guys, and he sent them out 2 by 2 on a short-term mission trip. I want you to go do this. Take these things, these supplies. Don't take these other things. Go to this place, and he gave them a specific target, a specific mission to do. And they went out for a short time, and then they came back and reported all that took place. So, it's the same thing that we do. We're going out and doing these short-term mission trips. And we've got a couple of different things that we want to accomplish when we go. 2 main reasons that we go. The first is outreach. We want to go and reach out to whatever community we're going to and be a blessing to them. We also want to, in that outreach, we want to reach out to the missionaries that are there. So when we do mission trips from our church, from our youth ministry here, what we do is we hook up with people that we know already. So I've got a friend named Jeannie who is a missionary down in Mexico. Been going there for years. That's where we go every year. The church supports her financially. Our pastor John has been friends with her for a very, very long time. And so that's where we go. We send teams down there to go and minister to her and with her. Okay, that's the outreach part of it. And then obviously we'll do, this time we went and we did a bunch of work at a home that Jeannie runs for moms who have been abused and or abandoned by their husbands. They have kids, and so we went to do some work there. But outreach, that's the outreach part of it. But then the other reason that we go is in-reach, meaning that what we're also doing at the same time is, I say we, myself and the leadership team, what we're attempting to do is to strengthen your relationship with the Lord when you go on one of these trips, to encourage your faith. You get to go to another country, and you get to go and minister. Minister simply means to serve. You get to go down there and serve with people that you are not familiar with, unless you've gone a couple times, and you might be familiar with some of these people. But the in-reach, what happens is you go with the goal of blessing this community that we're going to, and then you end up, as you'll hear today in a few minutes, you'll hear that you end up getting blessed in the process. And sometimes you can feel like you're coming back feeling like, man, they did more for me, or the trip did more for me than I did for them. And so there's outreach, and then there's inreach. If you've got a Bible, open up to Isaiah 62. We're just going to read one verse before we bring the team up, but I want to share this with you. Isaiah 62. And we've got a couple of videos that Matt put together, so we'll show those also. As you're turning to Isaiah 62, those of you that are new or you're just visiting today, normally right now we'd be getting into a Bible study. We'd go worship, Bible study, but today is going to be a little bit different. We'll have the team come up and share about that recent Mexico trip here in just a minute. Isaiah 62:1. Now let me just give you a little bit of setting here. As God was speaking through the prophet Isaiah, the prophet Isaiah here in chapter 62, with God's vision, working in him and through him, he was looking forward. Now he's prophesying in Israel, okay? And he's sharing with them about future events. Now, at the time that he's sharing these things, Israel is doing okay. Jerusalem is doing fine. They're financially doing well. But spiritually, they are corrupt. And what God is doing is he's warning them through the prophet Isaiah that judgment is coming. If you do not correct your actions, your behavior, judgment is coming. Right now, you're doing well. And what can often happen in a nation is they're doing financially well, and so they forget about God. And that was the case with these people. And so God speaking through Isaiah the prophet is saying, hey, right now you're doing well, but in the future there is going to be destruction. And then by the time he gets to Isaiah 62, he says, yes, there's going to be destruction, but even after the destruction, there will be restoration. There will be salvation. It's incredible, this God that we serve, who tells us, yes, there's going to be discipline, but even after the discipline, I'll never stop loving you, and even after the discipline, I'm going to restore you, and then I'm going to continue working in you and through you. What an incredible thing. Oftentimes when we get in trouble with somebody has to discipline us or correct us, there's always that awkwardness and, I don't know if they like me anymore. Not so with God. He loves us, disciplines us because he loves us, and then he just continues working in us and through us. Pretty incredible, but here's a couple of things I want to share with you from Isaiah 62:1. God speaking through Isaiah says, for Zion's sake, I will not hold my peace. It's for Israel. That's another name for Israel, Zion. For Zion's sake, I will not hold my peace, and for Jerusalem's sake, I will not rest until her righteousness goes forth as brightness and her salvation as a lamp that burns. So this is incredible to me because this is one of the things that drives me. It's not just I'm not just driven by, we got to go and, do some big trip and, make this youth group look really good and really cool. Oh, look where we traveled to and we did these things, And then when I talk to my youth pastor friends, what is your youth group doing? Okay? I don't do that. I don't even have youth pastor friends. But that's not what we're doing it for. What's pushing me? What's driving me? What's calling me across the border? What's calling me to get on a plane and fly to Nicaragua? What does that? Lots of different things, but this is one of them. And I love this verse. God speaking through Isaiah saying, for Zion's sake, I will not hold my peace. Not hold my peace means that he will not shut up. He's not going to stop talking. I will not hold my peace. That was true for God. God was going to continue preaching to his people, but also for Isaiah. Isaiah wasn't going to stop either. For Zion's sake, I will not hold my peace, and for Jerusalem's sake, I will not rest. Now remember, he's prophesying to Israel and to Jerusalem there within Israel. And he says, and for Jerusalem's sake, I will not rest. What keeps us going? What motivates us? When we're on the mission field, when we're going through some of the things that you'll see in just a moment, what's pushing us, motivating us? Here's what's pushing me. He says, for Zion's sake, I will not hold my peace. If God is not going to stop talking and preaching, then why should I? If God is not going to rest, then pray tell me, why would I want to just sit down and watch the world go by? And he tells us this in the second half of verse 1, until, he's not going to hold his peace, he's not going to rest, until her righteousness, that's Israel, until her righteousness goes forth as brightness, and her salvation as a lamp that burns. And in this, God is looking even further into the future and saying, listen, there's going to be a Messiah coming out of this land, out of Israel. The Messiah, Jesus, is going to come into Jerusalem, and he'll be crucified there. But that salvation will be made available through this land. That's what made the land holy. The land wasn't just holy on its own, but the fact that God was there, the fact that Jesus, God in flesh, was there. Same thing for me. Until everyone hears about Jesus, until everyone has an opportunity to surrender their life to Jesus, why would I be quiet? Why would I rest if God is not? So that's what motivates me, and that's what I'm trying to pass on to the students that go, and even the students that don't go. That's what I'm trying to pass on to those of you that are here, that show up on Sundays, that show up on Wednesdays. Let's not stop. Time is short. We only have so many heartbeats. We've only got so many inhales and exhales. And one of these days, very quickly, it's going to be our last. Let's keep moving forward until everyone gets to hear about Jesus. All right? I'm going to have you introduce yourself and tell us what grade you're in. Okay? And just go on down the line.
My name's Noah, and I'm in 10th grade. name is Momo or Mariah, and I'm a junior.
I'm Tegan, and I'm a senior.
I'm Jazzy, I'm in 8th grade.
I'm Alex, I'm in 10th grade. I'm Layla, and I'm in 8th grade.
I'm Caleb, and I'm a 10th grader.
All right. Can I get some sound over here? Wait. Testing. Well, there we are.
10th grader.
Okay. Okay. You didn't say 7th grade, did you? Okay.
What I said.
It's like it's too early in the morning. Okay, hang on to that mic, okay? Because I'm going to ask them some questions here, and then we're going to give you an opportunity to ask them any questions that you might have also. So, Caleb, we just saw the training video. Would you just give us what are your thoughts on the training sessions? And you've done this. This is your second time going through it. So, what are your thoughts on the training sessions?
During the training phase, that's when the team really comes together, and that's when we really start to like learn what each other's weaknesses and strengths are.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, go ahead and pass that on. Layla, thoughts on the training sessions? Because this is your first time doing it. Okay, what do you think?
We all really got to know each other because before I didn't know a lot of people, and it was fun to get to know you all.
Most of the time. And you saw one of the human knot ones where everybody was twisted up. One of the things that I'm trying to do in the training sessions, we only had 4 training sessions, 4 weeks to get ready. And so I'm trying to get everybody out of their comfort zone as fast as possible and get them, we're going to be working in close quarters and trying to mimic what we're going to be doing on the trip. I'm trying to make that happen in the training sessions so that we can just like hurry up and get over yourself because we got work to do, something like that. All right? What do you think?
You get like really close and personal, so it's definitely when the team becomes like a family, and then you go down together.
Okay. Yes. Jazzy?
Yeah, you really just get to know everybody, their personalities.
Yes, especially during the block challenge, the building block challenge. All of a sudden, there were demons coming out. Give me the right directions, So, Tegan, thoughts on the training sessions?
To go off of that, yeah, it does unify us, but at the same time, you see weaknesses of the whole team and yourself, and pet peeves and little annoyances, and you have to get over those. And it's good that we have those training sessions to get over those before the trip, so that we're ready.
Yeah. Good point. All right, Mo, what do you think about what's your take on the training sessions?
I thought it was great to have everybody feel like a family, to kind of see a glimpse of the team who we would be in Mexico before we were even on the mission trip. And I was honestly kind of sad when the training was over because I had so much fun during it.
Okay, good. Yeah, awesome. Noah, thoughts on the training phase?
I mean, we got real close, especially with that knot game. Bro, who flew? Joe. Joe flew. It was crazy. It was, especially like with the games, we saw other sides of people that you would never see. So.
Okay. Talk real briefly about comfort zone. You feel like, because everybody, a lot of the students that went, they're pretty close already. But then you find out that you have a comfort zone that maybe you didn't know you had. And what was that like getting out of that comfort zone? And I don't know if you want to answer that or if somebody else wants to volunteer to answer that. Anybody?
Okay, I'll answer. What was the question?
Comfort zone. It's 10:33 in the morning. Sorry about that.
I know. My brain.
Comfort zone. Did you find out that you had a comfort zone that maybe you didn't know you had, and you had to kind of break out of that?
Yeah, definitely. Just a little bit with I guess with some people that I didn't know that were in the van. So I just didn't really. I knew Caleb. I knew most of the people, but Serena, I talked to her for a little bit, which was different because she's quiet.
Yep.
Usually.
Yep.
So yeah.
Yep. Okay. Anybody else? Comfort zone? Everybody's like, no, I was totally comfortable. I was fine. Yeah.
In that knot game, for sure. 'Cause
Okay.
You might feel comfortable socially, but in games like that, and especially in Mexico, when you're in small rooms all working together, you have to get used to being very physically close to each other. So.
Okay, so I'm glad you brought that up. Tell us a little bit about the Mexico trip now, and why was that good to train? Because what was it we were doing in Mexico?
This time we were renovating some rooms at Casa del Pastor, and there are these small rooms, like not even half of this room, and there were at least 5 of us in the room at a time. Most of the time it was more, and you were all sweaty and it was hot and you were working together, and it can be uncomfortable, but the training helped, because especially that knot game, because you kind of had to push yourself to allow yourself to be closer.
Yeah, and it's after third service, so the deodorant is wearing off, and but you're all knotted up and you got to try and figure it out. So yeah, pass that on to someone else. We got another question. Tell us about Casa del Pastor. What was the place? What is that home in the picture?
Basically, it's like a shelter for battered and abused women and their kids, and it's not that big, but I thought it was gonna be smaller.
Okay.
It was a decent size, and right there, the rooms are all in the back. That's where all the women stayed and their kids.
Yep. Yeah, and the rooms were probably, I don't know, what do you guys think? Maybe like this line here, this here. Is that kind of, yeah. So basically, from this line to the back wall here was pretty much the size of their room, I guess, something about that. And they've got some bunk beds in there. You can see the video there in the back, give you an idea of the size. But they got bunk beds and little shelving system and a desk. Normally, it's pretty small, but that's their home. But the moms are happy to have it because they've come from a terrible situation somewhere else. Okay. Tell us about Jazzy. Go ahead and pass that on to someone else, whoever you want here. We'll get the answer from everybody here. What was one of the highlights of the trip for you?
Okay, so I have 2. So definitely like the car rides were super fun and like loud but fun. And then also the last day we were all like worshiping and sitting there, and the sun was rising because all the days before it had been kind of rainy. And so the sun was rising. It just felt like so close to God, and that was definitely a highlight of the trip.
Okay, awesome. Layla, I'm going to have you answer that same question in just a minute, but she just mentioned that the sun was rising. What time were we getting up in the morning? Now, we're only there, got there Friday night, so we're there Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and came back. But what time were we getting up in the morning to get started?
6.
Okay, yep. We were having Devos at 6:15, right? So everybody had to be up and moving. And we'll tell you a little bit more about why that is, but what about highlight of the trip for you?
So I really liked when I saw the kids. When we finished the rooms, the kids kind of came in, their moms, and it was really nice seeing them, just like the reaction to the rooms. It was really sweet, and hearing the moms' testimonies, it was kind of heartbreaking, but it's amazing how God worked in their life and how He brought them there for a reason. So I like that part. It really touched me.
Yeah, and see, yeah, you can pass it on. Seeing these moms and the kids so excited, it's crazy because there are probably some of you in here who have, your room is bigger than theirs, and they've got a family living in there, and you probably feel like, oh man, I wish I had more room in my room, or I had, bigger bed or whatever. And you get these moms coming in there with their little kids after the room is done. I mean, they were so excited the whole time that we were there. The moms are talking amongst each other. Oh yeah, my room's getting redone. My room's getting renovated, and so excited. And so when they come back in, little kids all excited. At one point, I've known Jeannie for a long time, and she doesn't like for the kids to be in the middle of the work. It's dangerous, and she wants the teams to have the freedom. So, me being a dad, it's like I saw a couple boys at the door, and it's like, hey, you guys, you gotta go. I don't speak Spanish, but everybody understands. Get out of here. And so it's like, hey, you guys gotta go. But the little boy told me in Spanish, this is my room. He was so excited that it was his room that was getting redone. And then it was like, well, this is your room? Come on in, man. Let's check this thing out, And so you come in and look around all excited and, just so happy to have some fresh paint on the walls, some flooring. And so Caleb, highlight of the trip for you.
Probably the kids. Like my sister said.
Okay.
It was fun, like watching them not have a care in the world, just running around. And on Saturday when we did the movie night, they were all asking me why is the movie in English and not in Spanish. So for like, how long was the movie? Was about like an hour.
Yes.
So for about an hour, I was just telling them what was happening in the movie.
Okay. Yeah. Now they feel the struggle that we have, right? Okay, go ahead and pass that microphone down back this way because I think we need to ask Jazzy, what was the highlight of the trip for you?
It was definitely seeing the kids and the moms just so happy over something just so little. Like now for us, like we're only happy if we get like new Jordans or new Xbox and stuff, but they were just so ecstatic over just a few flowers that we painted in their rooms and just getting new flooring done.
Yeah, and then in the process, I say we. I really didn't do anything on this trip. I just need you to know everybody else did stuff. I was just kind of cruising around. But the team had to clear out the rooms and then take everything back into the rooms after we were done. And so you saw the condition of their belongings. They didn't, everything they have is used. Everything they have has been used, most of it has been used here in the States, and then people take it down. So they're getting our, I don't want this anymore. This is so, 2022, and, throw that in the bag, send it down there to the Mexicans, and they get it and they love it. They get it and they love it. And they just, they treasure those things, toys, everything, So, Tegan, highlight of the trip for you.
I have two, actually. One of them was worship at church on Sunday. It was in Spanish, obviously. And it's the same songs that we all know, but translated. And it just felt like it wasn't repetitive. It wasn't singing just because I know the words. And not only that, but we were singing with his body in a completely different language. Like, there's that language barrier, different country, and yet we're worshiping the same God. So that was really cool. And the other thing was just seeing God work in the team. How well we work together, but also just individually, seeing little moments of joy or appreciation in the team. That was really cool.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, I'll pass that over to Mo. Highlight of the trip.
You
for
stole
you.
mine. No, I'm kidding.
Oh,
It was just Sunday in general. I feel like was a really great day because Saturday being tired hit me Saturday night, but Sunday morning just felt really refreshing. I forget who said it, one of the ladies down there, but they said it was really rainy for most of or just kind of cloudy, and we got up really early and we left really early. Like my room specifically, we got up at like 5 in the morning. So it was really foggy in the place we were staying, but we came back to the place we were staying after eating breakfast at CDP. We came back to get ready for church, and it was just bright and sunny and warm, and it was really quiet, and everybody was just like quietly getting their stuff and changing and getting ready for church, and there were a bunch of flowers, and all the girls were looking at the flowers, and that just felt really nice. And then going to church and seeing people that speak a different language and that live in a foreign country can feel so foreign and feel so alien at times because it feels like they do things differently, they speak differently, but going to church on Sunday and seeing all of them with their Bibles open on their laps and seeing them worship the same God that I worship was just like, my church isn't the only church in the world, and obviously we hear about other people, but you don't really consider them, I feel like, or at least not me. And seeing a different people love the same God and seeing God work in their lives the same way he works in mine was really cool for me.
Awesome. Yeah, great experience. Just being there out of your comfort zone. Instead of, and I'm guilty of this, instead of sitting at home scrolling through my feed to watch everybody else live. It's like, put that thing away, and you get yourself on one of these trips, and you find yourself on a Sunday, sitting in church. And you're probably, it's possible to be going to church in Mexico and thinking, well, I'm not going to understand anything, because they're going to be speaking in Spanish, worshiping in Spanish. So I'll just sit here and, twiddle my thumbs or whatever. And then all of a sudden you find yourself caught up and going, man, this is the same song that we sing, but it's in Spanish. And yeah, there's this whole other church out there, this is incredible. And God touches your heart. Highlight of the trip for you, Noah.
Sunday, morning worship. I think Mo did morning worship.
Okay, so that was early in the morning before we went to church.
Yeah, this is before everything.
Yep.
It was, everyone was dead. Everyone was so tired. Like, first song, it was pretty sad. We were like mumbling, and like you see everyone dazing off and everything. So, but the last song, trying to remember what it was, but I don't remember. But
it was life-changing, but we don't remember what it was.
Happens
to me all the time. Yeah.
It's just how everyone was singing, and it was the first time it woke me up, like physically and mentally.
Jesus, we love you.
Yeah, Jesus, we love you. That's a good song. Yeah. It just woke everyone up, and then we all left with smiles on our faces and ready to work for the Lord. It was just so good. It was great.
Yeah, some sweet times there at the ranch that we stayed in. Get up early and meet downstairs and worship, and then did anybody here share a Devo over the weekend? Was anybody? None of you were sure. Oh, Tegan did. Okay. Oh, so we'll get to you in just a second. Remind me. But tell me. Oh, you know what? Go ahead and pass it on to Tegan. Let's ask him right now. The Devos. What is Devo? What does the word Devo mean? It's not just a band from the '80s. What is it?
I didn't know it was a band from the 80s, but
Forget I said anything, okay? Don't tell your parents I told you that. So,
it's short for devotional.
Okay.
And what Pastor Chris had us all do was prepare at least 10 minutes of a devotional, sharing from the Bible something that God put on our hearts to share. We would do one almost every morning when we got up, and almost every night before bed. There were a couple times where we couldn't, but I thought they were good. It pushed a lot of us out of our comfort zone.
okay, that's good because that's what I was going to ask. Those Devos for a lot of people they're just terrifying, absolutely terrifying. And now you've done it before, obviously, so you've got that advantage. You've done it before. And Tegan Tegan definitely does not like to be out in front in the limelight doing things, getting all the attention. That's for sure. He likes to be in the background, just working, But he's done the Devos before, and he's not afraid to do it. But some people are terrified to do it. But it's not really that bad, right? We've got the Shrums did it. Both of them shared. And they shared on Wednesday night that they were scared to do it. We knew that, but they did it, and they survived, and came back. And I think that they were blessed. At least that's what they've told us. So, tell us about did any of you have a spiritual highlight? And what I mean by that is, was there a time where God impressed something on your heart, maybe during worship or during a study time, or maybe even while you were working? But spiritually speaking, it was like, oh man, I hadn't thought about this before, or I'm reminded of this in a big way. Tegan or anybody else?
Just the Devos in general.
Okay.
Kind of worked each one after the other, and it felt like it flowed. Like he purposefully had it go that way.
Okay.
And each one kind of built off of the last one.
Okay. Anybody else? Yeah, Allie?
I would say when we first got there, it was this feeling of this is where you're supposed to be. There's nowhere else. I was so behind on school, but I wasn't supposed to be doing my school or anything. I was just supposed to focus on loving the people here, and Yeah, and then seeing everyone from last year, and they're all a year older, so it was so sweet.
That's a really cool aspect because as you continue to go back, yeah, you see these people, and then after a while, you know, you go enough times, they start inviting you to, you know, say all of a sudden you get this invitation for somebody's quince. You're like, who is this? You know, it's in, where is this at? What, you know, and then you realize that it's one of your friends from down there in Mexico, and they want you to come back for their quince, you know, or, you know, years from now, some of you will get an invitation like, so-and-so's getting married, you know, and we got invited, and we get, you know, they invite you to their marriage, or their wedding, or their graduation. So you're forming relationships. Whether you've gone once or you've gone a couple times, you're forming relationships. That you know, experiencing this from the past, it's you know, some of you will have relationships with these people for years to come, which is pretty cool. Anybody else spiritual highlight? Yeah, Mo, want to pass that back over this way?
Just completely lost it. Oh, yeah. going to camps, I think we call it the camp high. You expect to go to like a summer or winter camp and come back just like on fire for the Lord, just like, yeah, let's go. And it was kind of the same going to Mexico. I think I kind of expected some sort of like high to come back with some like spiritual high for God to show me something or to do something in me. And instead of doing something in me, he showed me how he was working in other people's lives, specifically hearing the moms' testimonies, because there were a few moms that shared their testimonies, and just hearing what they've been through, and how the Lord, my Lord, the same God who speaks and talks to me and comforts me, how he speaks and comforts them and talks to them the same way. And I turned to Tegan, I forget when, but I'm like, God knows every language. Like, how cool is that? I barely know English now, but they speak Spanish, and they're a completely different person, completely different culture, completely different language, and yet God speaks to them. And that was
Isn't that incredible? Yeah, when that hits you, you get this epiphany, like, wait a minute, God understands Spanish? You know? And he does, you know, and he understands every other language, you know, and understands sign language and whatever else, you know. There's nothing he doesn't understand. Anybody else want to share a spiritual highlight that you had? Okay. Talk to us about, we say highlight, how about a low light or a low point? Was there a low point for you on the trip that was like, oh goodness, this was super challenging? Maybe during the training phase, or maybe it was on the actual trip and might have been on the way down or on the way back or while we were there, whatever. Anybody? He's like, Noah's like, yeah, I got one of those. I got 5 of them. Okay. Noah.
Just waking up, honestly.
Just waking up.
Dude,
Just waking up, man. What a struggle. Yeah.
I don't know. It was only one day though, but it was Sunday. Yeah. It was just we worked all Saturday.
And what do you mean by all Saturday? Do you remember how long were we awake?
Oh, I don't know when we started. We
would have our Devo at 6:15 in the morning.
Yeah, then we would go to eat breakfast at 7:15.
7.
And then I don't know when we would get off though. I didn't check my phone at all. So
what time did we get back to the ranch at night? Anybody remember? Caleb?
10.
11 o'clock.
11?
Okay.
No,
Yeah.
it was like 10:30.
10:30. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. But then the ladies had 2 showers. The guys, we had 1. Okay? 1 shower. So it was like waiting, you know, come on, hurry up, you know. Anyhow, go ahead.
I forget what I was saying.
You were talking about waking up on Sunday morning.
Yeah, it was just. I know it is. It was just tough because we were all tired, and especially working a whole day, then trying to wake up and do everything over again. It was just kind of hard on my body, I guess. So.
Okay. Low point, Mo, for you?
there was one project. So we were finishing everything up. We had painted everything. We had done all the flooring, and we had stencils. We had like letters, and then we had stencils that were like vines and flowers. And so I had an idea to write a verse on the wall, which was Psalm 139:14. I will praise you, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Marvelous are your works. How well I know it. I was just gonna write like a small portion of the verse, not the entire thing, because that would take a while. And I had the idea that it would go just like quickly. But then, as I was like processing it and figuring it out and making a game plan, there were just things that kept popping up that were really annoying me. It ended up really frustrating me because the project ended up being like, I don't know, almost 3 hours, and I had expected it to be done pretty quickly because the stencils, each page was like that big, so I had to end up, Tegan helped me cut up like every individual letter, and I ended up only needing the big letters, and there were like big, medium, small, so we had all of these letters across the table, which was really confusing and annoying, and there were just a ton of things that just kept piling up, and I got really frustrated, and so I ended up figuring it out. I ended up having, I forget what it was, some, like, a word and then half a word on the wall. And then one of the leaders came in, Danny, she speaks Spanish, and she told me the translation that I was writing down would have translated literally in Spanish to with fear and wonderfulness. So she was like, I don't know if you want to go with that, like they make it the point, they might like understand the verse, but you know. And then I think Caleb told me, oh well, you can write this, and I forget what it was, but it translated to God is with me. And so I ended up doing that, and then Danny told me at the end, she was like, well, maybe that's what God wanted to tell you. Maybe he just wanted to tell you that he's with you instead of you writing that. So it was a low point. It was really, really frustrating, but it ended up being really sweet in the end.
Okay. Did we ask you already? Low point for you?
I don't think so.
Got one?
Saturday night, we got up early and then we were working all day, and things kept coming. We finished something, but then there was a problem with it, so we had to go over the paint again, or we had to repaint the shelf, or we missed something on the ceiling, or we didn't even start the ceiling until like really, really late, and it got really, really frustrating because they just kept coming and coming, and I was tired and exhausted, and everything was loud and crazy, and I kind of had to step back for a second and pray. So that was definitely a low point.
Okay.
And then daylight savings Sunday morning sucked.
Oh yeah, I forgot to tell him that. Yeah. Wake up at, we got to be ready by 6:15, but really it was 5:15, and so they kind of struggled through that. Yeah. About Jazzy, was there any low point for you?
Probably Sunday, trying to stay awake during church.
Woo. Yeah.
I mean, I was done. And then when we went to eat lunch, I was just dozing off the entire time.
Yeah.
And then you called me to pray for the lady, and I was like, I didn't even hear her story.
It's like, where am I? What? Who am I praying for?
And then I remember Sunday night, we were still working. It was like so late. And I remember going up the stairs, and I was like, wait, what am I doing here? And I go back down the stairs. I was like, wait, I have to go grab something from upstairs. So I go back up the stairs, and I'm standing there for like 10 minutes just wondering, what am I doing? I mean, I was losing my marbles. Yeah.
All right. Allie, is there a low point for you during the trip?
I'd have to no, waking up. I'm not a morning person
Okay.
at all, and I get delirious really easily. So yeah, waking up.
Okay. Layla, low point.
It was also waking up. I had 3 cups of coffee on Sunday. I was so tired. Yeah, I was also doing up in church. I was trying to stay awake.
Yes.
But
Yeah.
I was really, really tired.
Okay. Caleb, low point for
Staying
you?
awake during church.
Okay, okay.
Because Caden, I was like sitting right on the edge, and I was like dozing off, and Caden tapped my shoulder saying, "Stay awake,"
Okay.
because I was
Good.
just I was watching. Is it Pastor Booth?
No, Scooter.
Scooter.
Or Pastor Scooter or Pastor Mark. Scooters is, yeah.
But Pastor Scooter, he was teaching, and I was just sitting there like just dozing off.
Yeah, yeah.
And then I had like completely fallen asleep.
Yeah.
And then Caden had to wake me up again, and then I was just laying like this, like just all my life, just like trying to keep myself awake.
Yeah.
And then I looked to my left, and Joe was just dead.
Joe was
He was just asleep.
Joe was sleeping.
The people at the church were like, man, this is a spiritual group. They're just bowing down, praying the entire time, resting in the Lord. Oh, man.
And then when
Meditating.
Pastor Scooter, Pastor Scooter,
Yeah.
he whistled and he said, "Oh, I woke some of you guys up like that." And I looked like I was just like trying not to look embarrassed because I felt like that was targeted to me because I had just woken up after he did it.
Challenges on the trip. The very first training session that we had was a breakfast burrito sale in the morning, and we had to be here at 5. And then we church, and then we stayed for training until 4 that day. And I was telling them, this is mimicking what we're going to be doing in Mexico. It's going to be some long, hard days, and so that's all part of it. I've got a couple of leaders that went. Do we have any leaders that want to share anything about the trip before we show the last video and get these guys out of here? Anybody? No? Okay. Matt and Marcy, you want to share something? Sure. Okay, Marcy, come on up. This is my wife. Let's give it up for her. Yeah, you can grab that mic, and then try not to stand in front of the speaker because it might be get feedback or whatever. There you go. Yeah. What would you like to share?
This was definitely I've characterized this trip as fast and furious. It was the shortest trip that we've ever done, and the most amount of work that we've ever completed in a very short amount of time. These students worked super, super hard, and it wasn't a competition, but our room came out the best. Just want to say. Anyways, because second place is first loser. But no, I'm just kidding. It was a lot of work, and nobody wanted to stop working. Everybody wanted to keep working. Even the other leaders that went, I mean, it was like we were determined to get this work done because we didn't have a choice. We had to get it done. And it's probably the first trip that your pastor here didn't have to do anything. Because normally, and it's funny to say that, but normally he's the one that's in there and, in charge of a room, but we had such a great team.
Yes.
That we were able to split up the team, and there were 4 rooms that we did. And actually, originally, Jeannie said that, we were going to do 3, and then even questioned, do you really think you can do 4 rooms? And it was like, we're doing those 4 rooms. It's going to get done one way or another. There was one day that I skipped lunch because I looked at the other mom, the other leader that I had, and we looked at each other like, she's like, we're finishing it. Like, so let's do this. Let's go. And we sent the kids off to eat. And they, Chris brought us back some tortillas, and because we wanted to get it done. We wanted to do a good job for the moms. We didn't want to do it, and flaky or, not a great job. Poor Joe, I had him scrubbing baseboards the whole entire time, and he did a great job. But nobody complained, and that was a huge thing. Everybody served with a servant's heart. And literally, we lost ourselves in service. Yes. So it was a really good trip. And it was good for Pastor Chris to just kind of oversee and stand back and make sure that we had what we needed and get what we needed done. And, he took a long trip into Ensenada to pick up the mattresses. But it was good for me because I've been going for so many years to see him not have to work because he trained up such a strong team that they did the work for him. So they were the hands and feet this time. And it was a huge blessing. So I'm thankful for that.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, it was a great trip. So if you get the opportunity, we'll do another one next spring. So you want to be praying about that now and looking for the meeting and getting info and all that kind of stuff. All right? Okay, we're going to finish up with the video.